All right. Hey, welcome. This is Max Clark. I'm the camp director for Camp Unalaya, and coming to you with a little video about the Rocky Mountain Adventure. This is more of just a trail map overview of one of my favorite trips. This trip kind of started in 2021 as a desire. I'm originally grew up in Colorado, lived there for 28 years until I met a great gal from Wisconsin and got married and ended up moving out to Wisconsin to raise a family. But I have a lot of ties to Colorado, a lot of experience back there. I worked for the Y for a long time, ran a Y camp in Colorado, and modeled this trip after some of the things that I did as a youth and also as a YMCA staff member leading kids on these trips. So really special to me, and I know your kids are going to love it. So there's two Colorado trips this year. We have the Rocky Mountain Adventure, and we have the Rocky Mountain Ultra Packer. So what's the difference is what you're asking. Rocky Mountain Adventure, this is more of an experiential trip. It is still pretty physical. They're going to do some rugged hiking in the mountains and in the backcountry, but they're going to do a lot of car camping with cool day trips sprinkled in there. So, as I get into this, you can pull up the itinerary PDF and follow along if you'd like, but I'll just kind of show you kind of a breakdown of what the travel in different areas are, where they look, or where are they. Also, like all these trail videos, my second intent with them, first off, it's to show you what do we do. But the second one is go ahead and copy this and do it yourself. I think that's great. Use all this information to make your own trips or take other kids on trips. Totally up for grabs. Okay, so we start this trip at Camp Unalaya. And unfortunately, because Colorado is a pretty far distance, we have to incorporate some days of travel into this. So the first day of travel, they're going to drive from Camp Unalaya all the way to YMCA Camp Kataki. Now, this is another cool part of this trip, is that we have great friendships with a number of YMCA camps spread out throughout the country. So I love that because I know we've got a safe, good spot to spend the night. In between, we're not having to check into hotels or go to some big public, campground on I-80. No thanks, right? So we got a great spot. We're going to camp at Camp Kataki, and then the next day they're going to drive from Camp Kataki to YMCA Camp Jackson. And here's a little trivia for you. YMCA Camp Jackson was the camp that I grew up going to, and also the camp that I ran for a number of years. I worked there, and then I got to run it and be the camp director. It's my hometown, Pueblo, right there. Born in Denver, but grew up in Pueblo. There you go. So they're going to drive, and they are going to stay at YMCA Camp Jackson. So you're going to see part of this trip is also designed to gradually acclimatize kids from the Midwest, from Wisconsin, to higher altitude. So we're camping one night at Camp Kataki. I don't know what that elevation is, but it's in Nebraska, so maybe 3,000 feet, 2,500, 3,000 feet. And then up here at Camp Jackson, they're going to go up to 8,500 feet. And they're going to stay a night at Camp Jackson, okay? So while they're there, I'm going to pop over to my trail map stuff. And you can see, here's a section in Colorado called the Wet Mountains. And Camp Jackson's right on this little turn on the road here. Zooming way in. There we go. So they're going to camp here for a day and be able to travel around and do some day hikes, see some beautiful scenic views, and have a chance to acclimatize, basically. Switching over to hybrid. There we go. You can see some of the terrain features better that way. Okay. After that overnight, they're going to travel once again. I'm going to zoom out. Pardon me that my laptop gets a little sluggish on this software. Okay, so they're going to jump and drive over here to another mountain range. Now this is I grew up in Colorado. I've seen a lot of mountains, and I'll tell you what, this stretch, the Sangre de Cristos, don't tell anybody else about them, all right? They are phenomenal. They're gorgeous. They are rugged. The peaks are prominent and angular, just breathtaking and very accessible, and also relatively far away from Denver, and which means they're just not busy. They're not crowded. You can get in there and just it's breathtaking. I told people this when I made this trip. I designed this itinerary off of where do the locals go. Okay, where do the locals go? This isn't the tourist trip. You can certainly do that. Those towns are fun, but they're busy, and it's not what I'm looking for a youth experience. So, anyways, I digress. We're going to travel from Camp Jackson to the Alvarado campground right here, and they're going to stay one night at the Alvarado campground. Now we've gone up a little bit again in altitude. I think this is like 9,500 feet, and as you know, campers. It's amazing what a couple days will do. They're never going to be fully acclimatized to a higher altitude, but it's really, really going to help on this trip that we spend a couple days doing this. Now at Alvarado Campground, they're going to stay the night, and then they're going to get ready to go on their 3-day backpacking trip. Okay, and this is awesome. I mean, this is part of the whole experience. We're doing some car camping and everything, but this is a very fun backcountry experience into a high alpine basin. Basically, this is a glaciated basin with prominent peaks all around. And I'm going to switch to a 3D map here in a second so you can get a sense of that. But basically, they're going to hike this first section up. This is called the Venable Peaks Trail. They're going to hike in. So they're starting at 9,000 feet, and they are going to end at 11,400 feet. So quite a bit of gain there, and but a beautiful little meadow up here. There's an old cabin, like a prospector's cabin that's still kind of there. It's pretty neat to look at. And then there's these great lakes up here. These are the two Venable lakes, and you can see I marked it as fishing. Now don't tell anybody. I don't think anyone actually watches these videos, but if they did, don't tell them about this fishing spot. Just some of the most amazing cutthroat fishing right out of that lake. Okay, so they're going to camp there. Now they have the option to spend a couple days in here. This basin is gorgeous. Is beautiful. This is a huge, rugged, prominent cirque is what it's called. It's a glaciated basin, so a cirque. And you could just lay in the meadow here and just think about all the important things in life while you're just looking out into this basin. Now, if you look downhill, it's going to stretch out onto the plains. Really, really pretty. So let me go ahead and try to switch over to 3D view, kind of give you a sense of what is it going to look like when they hike into there. So if I go to 3D, and this is Onyx, by the way, cool software, love it, use it for all kinds of stuff. All right, so now you can get a sense here of the terrain. I'm going to slowly rotate so you can get a feel. And you can see there's a little waterfall feature right here, Venable Falls. Pretty cool. It's not like Niagara Falls, but it's worth pulling off there for a second. So you can see what I was talking about with these prominent, angular, tall peaks. They're just really cool. All right. So zooming in, we're getting into the basin. How cool is that? All right. Now you can see where they're camped out. Now look at that. Isn't that cool? I love technology. Not really. That's why I'm a camp director. Okay, so you've got a little view here. What I was telling you about these just this glaciated basin that you're looking at here. There's a really good chance there's going to be snow in the shadowy parts here from the prior winter. Okay, so they're going to camp here. They're going to make their way up at either the second day, or they can do it, or after the first night, or after the second night, they can make their way up. They're going to cross this terrace in here and come around. This is really fun, super exciting. I know it seems a little, I would say maybe a little sketchy here on the on the software. I've done this hike. Our kids have done this hike. There's plenty of trail here. I know it looks like you're kind of crossing a cliff. It is not that bad, but it's really neat. And you've got a great view down as you get up here. Now up top, on the saddle part, there's marmots. Marmots are like these big furry groundhogs that live in the high country, and there's marmots. They occupy all over here, and they don't care. They're so cute and cuddly, and the kids can get pretty close. They won't touch them, but you know. So anyways, you get up there and you cross on the back side of this. I'd swing around, but I think my computer's going to have a heart attack here. All right, let me try. Slow and easy. Wow, look at that. There you go. Now my daughter's been up here, but she didn't know it because she wasn't born yet. She was in my wife's belly. My wife and I did this when she was pregnant. All right. So there's Spring Mountain. Now again, they have the option to go up and do some of these summits. Okay, these are really easy, low exposure summits, but a chance to get up to about 13,000 feet on both of these. Summiting is just a really fun activity. They can do it as a day trip from their camps and just kind of come up here and climb. Very breathtaking views. As you can see, you're looking out onto the high plateau down there. Okay, they're going to come across here and meet up onto the Comanche Lake trails and come down into this basin and camp at the Comanche Lakes. Same deal. Man, fishing's really good. And on their final day out, they'll hike down and out of the high country, and you can see this is the tree line. So above this altitude, trees struggle to grow, and leaves these high open alpine meadows. They'll see elk running around there. There's mule deer all through these basins. Fun thing to tell you here, on when I was down in here on would have been my second trip into this basin, I swear I saw a wolverine. And I even, Colorado has no confirmed sightings of wolverines, but there are a lot of unconfirmed sightings. And another trivia for you, I actually filed a unconfirmed wolverine sighting in that basin. So I'm pretty sure I saw it. He ran across. But anyways, they come down this trail and they're out. Boom, they're done. Alvarado, they're back to their car, and they're going to scoot over to their next location, which is Salida and Buena Vista. So I'm going to go back to 2D and zoom out here, give my computer a break. I know you can't hear it, but my computer's humming. It's like, oh man, what are you doing? Okay. You can see this is the Rocky Mountain Ultra Packer, separate video. Okay. So it's a little confusing. I have to use my knowledge of the terrain to navigate here. Royal Gorge, very cool area. If you're ever out in Colorado, stop in and see that. Super neat. Okay, right here we've got two towns. We've got Salida and Buena Vista. Let me show you from a map view. Oh, check that out. That was pretty slick. All right, Salida right here and Buena Vista. Again, you want some more hot tips from a local Coloradan. You want to come out skiing and you want to avoid the crowds and the high prices of northern Colorado, come to Salida, okay? And you're going to ski at Monarch. Super cool. That's where I grew up going. Okay. Buena Vista is right here. These are really neat Colorado mountain towns that the kids get to spend some time in. And what they're doing, let me switch over here, they're going to camp at a campground on the Arkansas River. So the Arkansas River starts like 25 miles north of here in Leadville, Colorado, and it flows all the way out, I think all the way to the Mississippi. So you're camping along the Arkansas. This is the Ruby Mountain Campground, and this is just going to be their base camp for the next couple days of activities. They'll spend a day just cruising into Buena Vista. Over here, let me switch over into Buena Vista. super neat little shops, boutique things. You can get cool Colorado merchandise, try some food, get some ice cream. So they just basically, if you think about it, the kids got off trail and they're going to cruise over here and camp on the long side of the Arkansas River and go have some fun in some Colorado mountain towns. So bring some spending cash. Salida's got they've got like a water park type of thing, so that's where the kids are actually going to take showers and go hit that. It's like $5 to go in and take a shower. There are right here going into Mount Princeton, there's some hot springs, so they might cruise over and do a day on the hot springs. But what they're doing here is just kind of recovering from their long their 3-day backpacking trip, getting ready for their 14er experience, which is probably going to be Mount Yale. I would either send them on Mount Yale or Princeton. I've climbed all these. They're all great. They're all great introductory 14ers. Okay, while they're still camping down in here, they're going to do a full day whitewater rafting trip. So I'm going to switch over, and you can see this is some of the, I don't know, this is a pretty low budget production here on my film, but we were going through Browns Canyon. It's a very famous canyon, known for just excellent whitewater rafting. And so this is some of the views of what it looks like. You're in this high desert kind of terrain, and they got a full day experience of that. So it's probably going to be a highlight for a lot of them. Nice little treat. After they have done their rafting day and their town day, they are going to partake in the 14er summit. So this is what I would call the pinnacle of the trip. This is the toughest part. And what's a 14er? Okay, if you've never heard that said before, there are a number of peaks. There's 53 or 54, I can't remember the number exactly, in Colorado, of peaks that go over 14,000 feet and in elevation. Some of them, like Pikes Peak, you can just drive all the way to the top. Some of them are more remote than that and require, a hike to get in there. And those hikes can range from a mile to 4 miles to 18 miles, depending on your route and which one you've done. 14er is truly a benchmark experience in anyone's life. If you've never done one, I recommend it. You will find out a lot about yourself and what you're made of when you attempt that and when you're successful. Now, our 14er that we're looking at, I said it's either going to be Mount Yale or Mount Princeton. I've climbed both of them, and I think Mount Yale's the better one for bringing kids along. So that's one I'm planning on. Click on the trail that I've mapped out here. You see it's about a 4.4 mile hike, but you're gaining over 4,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's a very strenuous hike. You can see there's a lot of red. So you're looking at a total distance of between 9 and 10 miles total round trip day. Now that's pretty good for a 14er. Let's switch over, kind of just give you a sense. Let's see what happens when we do that. Man, I love 3D. Okay. So you can see the route here. We come in through that valley and then basically come up here on the west side, the northwest side of Mount Yale. Now it's definitely a badge of honor, especially growing up in Colorado. You would say like which 14ers you've done. I think coming from the Midwest and accomplishing climbing a 14er is just outstanding, and we've had really good success with getting kids up here. Now that climbing this is not a guarantee. It's one thing I will say about this on the trip. There's a couple things that could hinder this. Number one is weather. So to get up into this high country as a day trip, to come in and out, we have to pick a day that it's not going to be raining or thunderstorms. That's probably the biggest danger up in the high country here is weather. And so all of these ascents, even if we have a clear weather day and we get a get the go-ahead, or I give the go-ahead to the team down in Buena Vista. They need to do this early in the morning, so they're going to be hiking most of this trail in the dark, right? Usually around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be hiking through all this in headlamps, hitting this high country part in the early to mid morning with a summit time of usually shooting around 10:30 or so. You're going to avoid any late in afternoon thunderstorms. Country this high or mountains this high, they make their own weather. So you can have a clear weather forecast down below, but up here, it can make its own thunderstorm happen. So again, we do this early in the morning so we avoid getting stuck up here with rain and lightning. So weather's the number one thing. So if we don't get a good day for that, then it probably won't happen, and we're going to make fun things happen down in lower country, which there's plenty to do. The other thing that could inhibit total success, the whole group success in here, is yes, we've spent some time acclimatizing to high altitude. There's just no preparing you between 13,000 and 14,000 feet. The change is stark, is dramatic, and there can be problems with altitude sickness, or just at some point maybe it's not good for the participant in there. And we have fully planned for all that. We have plans to come back down and make it fun. So to give you a sense of this, we've run this for 2 years. Both trips summited Mount Yale. In both of those trips, I believe both of them. One of them, one camper and a counselor, came down to lower altitude at some point just because they weren't feeling good. So again, I think it's amazing. It's a great challenge. It is totally suitable for kids in this age group, particularly ones that are looking forward to something a little more challenging. They'll never forget it. They'll never forget it. They're going to remember this their entire life. I can remember the first 14er I ever climbed. It was Mount Princeton over there, and I'll never forget it. All right, so they come down. They're going to be wore out and tired. I know it was only 9 miles of hiking, but they are going to be tired, and so they're going to come back to their campsite over here, crash, and cook up great food at their little camping spot, maybe hit the towns one more time, hit a shower, and then they'll be on their way back home. That's it. That is the trip, Rocky Mountain Adventure. I know this is a long video. I had a lot to say about it, but I totally welcome any questions you have. I keep this trip's group size really small, so there's only six spots open for this. So if you're thinking about it, be sure you call. Let me answer all your questions and get signed up so you don't lose your spot. Both years it has sold out. So there you go. Looking forward to seeing you on trail.